Captain Zexithara's forearms trembled as she read the report for the 5th time. The glowing screen in front of her showed data that made no sense. According to the files, humans used planets as training grounds, planets that killed aliens in minutes. "This cannot be right," she muttered, her purple skin turning darker with worry. Her assistant, a small bug-like creature named Click-27, moved closer on 6 legs. "Captain, the data has been checked 3 times. The human species lists 47 worlds as military training sites. Our own scientists mark those same worlds as death worlds." Zexithara stood up from her chair. At 8 feet tall, she towered over most species in the Galactic Alliance. But these humans worried her more than the war itself. The war. For 2 years, the Devourers had pushed through Alliance space like hungry beasts. These silicon-based creatures ate metal, dissolved energy shields, and turned Alliance weapons into food. Nothing worked against them. Millions had died. Then Earth sent a message. They offered 50,000 human soldiers. The Alliance Council laughed. Humans were a young species barely advanced enough for space travel. What could they do that the mighty Alliance could not? But the Alliance was desperate. They said yes. Now Zexithara had to train with these humans. The problem? Humans wanted Alliance soldiers to train on human worlds first. They called it basic preparation. The Alliance agreed because they had no choice. The first shock came at the meeting point. Alliance ships arrived surrounded by massive protective bubbles. Inside these bubbles, the air was perfect. The temperature was controlled, and radiation shields kept everyone safe. Then the human ship appeared. It was small, plain, no protective bubble at all. How did they survive in open space without proper protection? The human ship docked. The airlock opened. Out walked creatures in simple suits that looked like thick clothing with glass helmets. No glowing energy fields. No floating life support. Systems, just basic suits. Are they wearing toys? Click-27 whispered. Captain Rex Martinez stepped forward. He was average height for a human, which meant he was shorter than most Alliance species. His brown skin showed through the clear helmet. He smiled, showing his teeth. That smile made Zexithara nervous. In most species, showing teeth meant danger. "Captain, Zexithara, I presume?" Martinez spoke through his basic radio. "Welcome aboard. Ready for some training?" Zexithara looked at her own equipment. She wore a full environmental suit worth more than a small starship. Her life support system had backup. Systems for the backup systems. Her team of 100 Alliance soldiers wore similar gear. "Captain Martinez, we need to discuss the training locations. Our scientists say these worlds will kill our troops." Martinez laughed. "Kill? Oh, you mean the environmental ratings? Yeah, we saw those. Your people really like their safety margins, don't they?" He pulled out a simple tablet. "Look, we picked the easiest spots for you. Australia in summer, Sahara in spring, the Pacific Ocean, and some mountains. Basic stuff." Zexithara checked her own readings. Australia showed radiation levels that would melt Alliance armor. The Sahara registered temperatures hot enough to cook most species. The Pacific Ocean had pressure readings that would crush smaller aliens. The mountains had air so thin that most Alliance troops would suffocate. "Captain, these readings show certain death for my people." Martinez looked confused. "Oh, those numbers. Yeah, that's pretty normal for Earth. Don't worry, we'll start slow. Maybe some beach volleyball first, then a nature hike. Real gentle introduction." A junior Alliance officer stepped forward. He was from the Crystal Empire, his body made of living rock. "Human, you jest? These levels would crack my crystalline structure in hours." "Really?" Martinez seemed genuinely surprised. "Huh. Well, good thing we brought extra sunscreen." He gestured to a human soldier nearby. "Johnson, break out the SPF 50. Looks like our guests burn easy." The human called Johnson nodded and walked away. He moved normally, like breathing poison air and standing in deadly radiation was just another day. "Captain," Zexithara tried again. "Perhaps you misunderstand. Your training worlds are classified as uninhabitable. The radiation alone—" "Oh, that's just sunlight." Martinez waved his hand. "You get used to it. My daughter plays outside all the time. Zexathara's blood went cold. Your child lives in these conditions? All kids do. How else would they grow up strong? Martinez pointed to his tablet. Look, here's a picture of her at the beach last weekend. The image showed a small human standing in what Alliance scanners would register as a radiation zone. She was smiling, playing. The radiation that would kill most alien children in minutes was just background for her fun day. Captain Martinez, Zexthara's voice was strained. What do you consider dangerous? Well, you know, the usual stuff. Volcano training can be tricky. Arctic survival takes some prep. Deep ocean work requires good equipment. Martinez paused. Oh, and my kid's not allowed out alone at night. Coyotes, you know? Coyotes. Zexthara made a note to research this word later. Perhaps, she said carefully, we should start with something even simpler? Martinez brightened. Great idea. How about we begin with Australia? It's their winter right now, so it'll be nice and cool. Maybe 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Alliance computers translated 29 degrees Celsius. Still hot enough to cook most species. As they prepared to depart, Zexathara watched the humans work. They moved without bulky life support. They breathed ship air that would poison half her crew. They seemed comfortable in an environment that required her people's best technology just to survive. One question haunted her as their ships prepared to jump to Earth. If this was how humans lived every day, what did that make them compared to the rest of the galaxy? The answer, she suspected, would change everything the Alliance thought they knew about warfare, survival, and what was possible for living beings. But first, they had to survive their first day in paradise. Human paradise. Which, she was beginning to realize, was everyone else's hell. The landing shuttle shook as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Zexathara gripped her seat with all four arms while her environmental suit ran full diagnostics. Red warnings flashed across her helmet display. The radiation levels kept climbing. Is this normal? Click 27's voice crackled through the comm system. The little bug creature's exoskeleton was already showing stress cracks from the heat. Captain Martinez sat across from them without a full suit. Just some kind of light fabric clothing and a simple breathing mask. He looked relaxed. Yeah, entry's always a bit bumpy. Wait till you feel the air. The shuttle touched down on what humans called solid ground. Zexathara's scanners showed the surface temperature at 32 degrees Celsius. Her cooling systems were already working overtime. All right, everyone. Welcome to Australia. Martinez stood up and walked to the exit. Just our training base here. Nothing fancy. The doors opened. Hot air rushed in like a burning wave. Half the Alliance troops started gasping immediately. 3 soldiers from the ice worlds collapsed, their systems unable to handle the heat. Medical emergency, Zexathara shouted. Martinez looked back. Oh, right. Johnson, grab the medic kit. Probably heat exhaustion. He seemed completely unconcerned. Don't worry, happens to everyone first time. A human medic appeared. She was wearing shorts and a thin shirt. Her arms were bare, exposed to the deadly radiation. She knelt next to the fallen soldiers and started checking their vital signs. They'll be fine, she said casually. Just need some shade and water. Maybe a cool cloth. Water. They wanted to treat radiation poisoning with water. Martinez gestured. Outside. Come on, let's get you settled. Base camp is just a short walk. Short walk. Zexathara checked her readings. The distance was over 2 kilometers. In this heat. With this radiation. They stepped outside. The sun hit them like a hammer. Zexathara's suit immediately activated all cooling systems. Her radiation counter started beeping warnings. The light was so bright it hurt even through her protective visor. Gorgeous day, isn't it? Martinez looked up at the sun that was slowly cooking them all. Perfect weather for training. A human soldier ran past them. She was wearing minimal clothing and sweating heavily. But she was running, actually exercising in conditions that would kill most Alliance species. She waved as she passed. Morning, Captain, she called out. Morning, Sarah. How's the 10-kilometer run going? Almost done. Beautiful day for it. 10 kilometers. In this heat. For fun, the short walk to base camp became a nightmare. 3 more Alliance. 3 days had passed since the wildlife encounter incident. Zexathara still felt sick thinking about it. The humans had introduced them to creatures they called snakes. Long, tube-shaped animals that moved without legs and could inject deadly poison with their bites. The humans called them cute and mostly harmless. One Alliance soldier had needed emergency treatment after seeing a python swallow a whole rabbit. The soldier wasn't even bitten. He just couldn't handle watching something that size eat something else alive. "All right, everyone," Martinez announced. Cheerfully, time for training site number 2. Zexathara's remaining 50 soldiers looked terrified. Half the original team was still in medical care. Some might never recover from what humans called a gentle introduction to Australian nature. "Where are we going now?" Zexathara asked, dreading the answer. "The Sahara Desert." Martinez smiled like he was announcing a vacation. "Don't worry, it's spring there. Should be nice and mild." The Alliance computer showed the desert temperatures, 45 degrees Celsius in the shade. There wasn't much shade. "Captain Martinez," Zexathara tried to stay calm. "Our species cannot survive in those conditions." "Really? It's not even summer yet. Wait till you see it in July." Martinez pulled up images of sand dunes stretching forever. Beautiful place. Very peaceful. Great for meditation. Meditation. In temperatures that would cook Alliance flesh. The flight to the desert took 6 hours. During this time, Zexathara watched human soldiers chat, play simple games, and eat food. They seemed completely relaxed. Like going to a death world was just another day at work. "Captain," Click 27 whispered to her. "Maybe we should tell them we changed our minds? Maybe go back to the ship?" Zexathara shook her head. "We need this alliance. If we can't train with humans, we can't fight alongside them. And without their help, the Devourers will destroy everyone." The desert landing was worse than Australia. The shuttle doors opened and heat poured in like liquid fire. Several Alliance soldiers collapsed immediately. "Whoa," said Johnson, the human medic. "Definitely bring more water for these guys. They dry out fast." Dry out. Like plants in the sun. The sand was so hot that Alliance soldiers' boots started melting. Steam rose from their cooling systems. Zexathara's helmet display showed warnings in 5 languages. Martinez stepped out in simple clothing and regular boots. "Come on, camp is just over that dune." Just over that dune. The sand dune was over 200 meters high. As they climbed, Alliance soldiers started dropping. The sand shifted under their feet, making each step twice as hard. They're heavy. Environmental suits became ovens in the desert heat. Humans walked up the dune like they were taking a casual stroll. "How are you people not dying?" Zexathara gasped through her radio. "Dying? From this?" Martinez looked puzzled. "It's just warm. You should come in summer when it gets really hot." Really hot. This hell was considered mild. At the top of the dune, Zexathara saw something impossible. A human camp spread out below them. No environmental domes, no cooling systems visible. Just simple tents and structures sitting open in the burning air. People moved around the camp, working, living. Children played in the sand like it was safe. "Welcome to Desert Base Alpha," Martinez announced. "We train special forces here." Well, this is where they come to relax between training exercises. Relax. This was relaxation. They stumbled down into the camp. A human woman approached them, wearing light clothes and a big hat. Her skin was brown from the sun, but she looked healthy. "New arrivals," she called out. "From the Alliance? Great. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, base commander. Hope you brought lots of water." Water. The humans were obsessed with water. Dr. Chen led them to a large tent. Inside it was cooler, maybe 35 degrees. Alliance soldiers collapsed with relief. "This is our guest quarters," Chen explained. "We've got air conditioning running for you. Thought you might need it." Air conditioning. It was still hot enough to cook most species. Dr. Chen, Zexathara struggled to speak. How do your people survive here? Survive? Oh, you mean the heat. You get used to it. Actually, most of us find it pretty comfortable. My grandmother lived here for 40 years. Said it kept her young. 40 years. In this oven, a human child ran into the tent. She was maybe 10 years old with sun-darkened skin and bright eyes. Grandpa Chen, come play volleyball. Emma can't come because she has a sunburn. Volleyball. Exercise. In this heat. Chen smiled. Maybe later, honey. Our guests are still adjusting to the weather. The child looked at the Alliance soldiers with curiosity. Why are they wearing so many clothes? Aren't they hot? Dr. Chen chuckled. They're from different planets, sweetheart. They need special suits to stay safe. Oh. The child seemed to accept this easily. Well, if they get too hot, the pool is really nice right now. Pool. They had a swimming pool. In the desert. That afternoon, the humans began what they called basic desert training. They showed Alliance soldiers how to find water by following animal tracks, how to build shelter using sand and found materials, how to navigate by the stars. Alliance instruments could do all of these things automatically, but human training assumed no technology. They taught survival using only natural skills. The breaking point came during the evening demonstration. As the sun began to set, the temperature started dropping. Alliance computers registered the change, from 45 degrees to 40 to 35 degrees. Cooling off nicely, Martinez said. Perfect night for a campfire. Cooling off. It was still hot enough to kill most Alliance species. But then something terrifying happened. The temperature kept dropping. 30 degrees, 25 degrees, 20 degrees. Alliance soldiers who had been dying from heat were now shivering from cold. The same environment that had been trying to cook them was now trying to freeze them. Getting a bit chilly, observed Dr. Chen. Better grab sweaters. Sweaters, clothing to add warmth, in what had been a furnace hours earlier. Captain, Zexathera's voice was strained. This place changes temperature by 30 degrees in a few hours. Yeah, deserts do that, Martinez nodded. Big temperature swings, that's why we train here. Teaches you to adapt quickly. Adapt quickly, in hours, to temperature changes that would kill most galactic species. As night fell completely, Zexathera watched human soldiers sitting around fires, chatting and laughing. The same people who had walked casually through killing heat were now completely comfortable in the freezing cold. No special equipment. No environmental suits. Just changing clothes. That night, as she filed her report, Zexathera made a disturbing calculation. The daily temperature range on this mild training world was larger than the entire livable range for most Alliance species. Humans lived in a place where the difference between day and night would span the gap between cooking and freezing for other species, and they called it normal. Her report's final line was simple but terrifying. Recommendation: human soldiers should be classified as environmental extremophiles, not standard humanoid species. But she still had to see the ocean. Training. She was beginning to suspect that would be even worse. After 2 weeks of recovery time, Zexathera's team was down to 30 soldiers. The rest were either in medical care or had suffered complete mental breakdowns. Click 27 hadn't spoken since the desert, just made small clicking sounds when nervous. Ready. For some water training? Martinez asked cheerfully as they boarded yet another human shuttle. Water training. Zexathera's scanners had already told her the horrifying truth about Earth's oceans. They contained dissolved chemicals that would count as weapons on most Alliance worlds. The pressure at any depth would crush smaller species. And something, called marine life, that lived in these toxic waters. Captain Martinez, she tried one last time. Perhaps we could start with simulated ocean training? In a controlled environment? Martinez laughed. Simulated? Why would we do that when we have the real thing right here? The real thing. An ocean of poison that humans swam in for fun. The flight to the Pacific Ocean took them over what humans called California. Through the shuttle windows, Zexathera could see thousands of humans lying on beaches, exposing themselves to radiation. For pleasure. There's our base. Martinez pointed to an island surrounded by endless blue water. Naval Training Station Pacific, home of the Navy SEALs. SEALs. Zexthara made a note to ask about this word later. The shuttle landed on what humans called a beach. Hot sand stretched down to the edge of the toxic ocean. Humans in minimal clothing ran around, played games, and went into the water. The doors opened. The smell hit them first. Salt, chemicals, something organic that made several Alliance soldiers sick immediately. Beautiful day for a swim, observed Martinez. Water's nice and warm, maybe 22 degrees. 22 degrees. The water temperature would freeze most Alliance species solid. A human approached them, tall, strong, with skin darkened by sun exposure. She wore something called a wetsuit that covered most of her body, but still left her head and hands exposed to the elements. Captain Martinez, welcome back. I'm Commander Lisa Rodriguez, SEAL Team 6. SEAL Team 6. The way she said it suggested this was important, but Zexthara couldn't understand why humans would name their military teams after marine animals. Commander Rodriguez, meet Captain Zexthara and her people from the Galactic Alliance. Rodriguez smiled, showing teeth. Welcome to paradise. Hope you brought your swimming gear. Swimming gear. They expected Alliance soldiers to enter the poison water on purpose. Commander, Zexthara tried to explain, my people are not aquatic species. We cannot, don't worry about that. Most of our recruits can't swim when they start either. We'll have you doing underwater operations in no time. Underwater operations. Under the poison water, where the pressure would crush them. Rodriguez led them to what humans called the beach. Alliance soldiers put down their equipment and immediately began setting up environmental shelters. What are those for? Rodriguez asked, pointing at the protective domes. Radiation protection, Zexthara explained. Chemical filtration, pressure regulation, basic survival. Rodriguez looked confused. Radiation? You mean the sunshine? It's not even that bright today. Not that bright. Alliance instruments showed radiation levels that would kill most species in hours. And chemicals? Rodriguez continued. You mean the salt water? That's just ocean. Just ocean, a massive container of dissolved poison. Perhaps you could demonstrate the safety equipment first? Zexthara suggested desperately. Safety equipment? Oh, you mean like life jackets? Rodriguez pointed to simple inflatable vests. Sure, we've got those for beginners. Life jackets. Simple fabric bags filled with air. That was their safety equipment for the poison ocean. No, Zexthara tried again. Environmental protection, pressure suits, chemical filters, radiation shielding. Rodriguez stared at her. For swimming? Why would you need all that? Before Zexthara could answer, a group of human children ran past them and dove into the ocean. They came up laughing, splashing each other with the toxic water. No protection. No suits, just small humans playing in liquid that would kill Alliance soldiers instantly. The water's great today, one child shouted. Not too many jellyfish. Jellyfish. Another creature living in the poison ocean. Commander Rodriguez. Zexthara's voice was strained. What are jellyfish? Oh, those? Marine animals. Some of them sting a bit, but nothing serious. Unless you run into a man-o-war. Those hurt. Hurt, not kill, hurt. Rodriguez pulled out a simple device. Here, let me show you something cool. This is our basic underwater breathing gear. She held up what looked like a simple metal container with tubes. Nothing like the complex life support systems Alliance species needed. You put this in your mouth, and it lets you breathe underwater for about an hour. Deeper you go, the less air you get. But our SEALs can work at 40 meters depth no problem. 40 meters. The pressure at that depth would crush most Alliance soldiers like insects. And the water temperature? Zexthara asked weakly. Gets cold the deeper you go. Maybe 15 degrees at depth. That's why we wear wetsuits for the long dives. 15 degrees. Colder than the freezing point of most Alliance species' blood. Here, watch this. Rodriguez gestured to the water where a human was swimming, but not swimming on the surface. Swimming under the poison water, moving like he belonged there. The human surfaced, removed the breathing device from his mouth, and swam to shore. "How deep did you go, Peterson?" Rodriguez called out. "About 30 meters, Commander. Water's nice and clear today. Saw some dolphins." Dolphins. More creatures living in the ocean poison. Peterson walked up to them, dripping with toxic water. He looked healthy, happy, normal. Couldn't resist, he grinned. Water looked too good to pass up. Looked good. The poison ocean looked good to him. "Peterson here holds our base record for deep diving," Rodriguez said proudly. "Made it to 80 meters on a single breath. Single breath. No air supply. Under crushing pressure. In freezing poison." That afternoon, Rodriguez demonstrated what humans called basic water safety. She showed Alliance soldiers how to tread water, stay afloat in the poison, how to swim, move through the toxic liquid under control, how to dive, go under the surface on purpose. Every single thing she showed them would kill Alliance soldiers within minutes. The breaking point came when Rodriguez suggested they try snorkeling. "Just basic surface swimming with a mask so you can see underwater. We've got some beautiful coral reefs here." Coral reefs. Living things that grew in the poison ocean. "We'll stay in the shallow end," Rodriguez assured them. "Only about 3 meters. Deep. 3 meters. Under pressure that would crush them. In poison that would dissolve their skin." That evening, as the human seals played volleyball on the beach and surfers rode waves in the distance, Sahara filed her report. Her main discovery was the most terrifying yet. Humans didn't just survive in the poison ocean. They played in it. They lived it. They found it relaxing. The same water that would kill Alliance soldiers in seconds was where human children learned to swim. Her final line was a question that haunted her. If humans consider toxic oceans to be recreational areas, what do they think of when they hear the word dangerous? Tomorrow they would find out. The humans were taking them to the mountains for high-altitude training. Sahara was beginning to suspect that mountains were just another way humans found to make the universe try to kill them. And somehow, they thrived on it. To survive. Their first day in paradise. Human paradise. Which she was beginning to realize was everyone else's hell. After another week of recovery, Sahara's team was down to 20 soldiers. The ocean training had claimed 10 more, though not from drowning. 3 had panic attacks just seeing the endless water. 7 more couldn't handle watching human. Children dive under toxic waves like it was a game. Click 27 had started talking again, but only to repeat the word impossible over and over. "Last stop on our tour," Martinez announced as they flew toward what humans called the Rocky Mountains. "Just some basic altitude training. Nothing too strenuous." Nothing too strenuous. Sahara had learned to fear that phrase. The shuttle climbed, higher and higher. Through the windows she could see jagged peaks covered in white substance that her scanners identified as frozen water. Mountains that reached into the thin upper atmosphere. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" Martinez said, looking out at peaks that would kill most Alliance species just from proximity. "Wait till you see it from the top." From the top. They wanted to go to the top. "Captain Martinez," Sahara tried to keep her voice steady. "Our atmospheric readings show insufficient oxygen levels at this altitude. Yeah, the air gets a bit thin up here. Takes some getting used to. Don't worry, we'll start at base camp. Only about 3,000 meters elevation." Only 3,000 meters. Alliance species needed pressurized environments at anything above 500 meters. The DSIM shuttle landed at what humans called base camp. It was a collection of simple buildings sitting on the side of a mountain, exposed to the elements. No environmental domes, no atmosphere processors. Here we are. Martinez stepped out into air so thin that Alliance breathing equipment immediately went into emergency mode. Beautiful day for a hike, walking up mountains, for fun. A human approached them wearing thick clothes but no environmental suit. Her face was red from cold and wind, but she smiled. "Welcome to Mountain Training Base. I'm Colonel Janet Reeves, commanding officer." She breathed easily in air that would suffocate most aliens. "Hope you're ready for some high-altitude fun." Fun. Everything was fun to these people. Colonel Reeves, Zexthera gasped through her breathing apparatus. My people cannot function in this atmosphere. Oh, the altitude? You'll adapt after a few days. We get recruits from all over Earth and they all struggle at first. Even our sea-level people need time to adjust. Adjust. They expected Alliance species to physically adapt to atmospheric conditions that would kill them. Colonel Reeves led them to the base buildings. Inside it was slightly warmer but still freezing by Alliance standards. Human soldiers moved around normally, chatting and working like the deadly conditions outside were just weather. This is our beginner training area, Reeves explained. We start new climbers here before they move up to the technical peaks. Technical peaks, there were harder mountains. What exactly is mountain training for? Zexthera asked, dreading the answer. Oh, you know. Physical conditioning, survival skills, team building. Great for building character. Plus, our special forces need to be able to operate at any altitude. Any altitude. Including places where most species would die instantly. We'll start you off easy, Reeves continued. Maybe just a short walk to the 4,000-meter observation post. Short walk to 4,000 meters, where Alliance atmospheric processors would fail completely. Colonel, Zexthera tried one last time. Perhaps we could begin with simulated altitude training. Reeves looked puzzled. Simulated? Why simulate when you can have the real experience? Nothing beats actual mountain air for building lung capacity. Building lung capacity. They expected their soldiers to physically change to survive. That afternoon, Reeves began the demonstration. She showed them human soldiers hiking up mountain paths carrying heavy packs, moving easily in conditions that would require full life support for Alliance species. The key is steady breathing and pacing yourself, she explained while walking backward up a steep path, talking to them without being short of breath. Alliance soldiers in full environmental suits struggled to keep up. Their processors worked, overtime trying to maintain breathable atmosphere levels. Several collapsed from the effort. Don't worry, Reeves called back cheerfully. Everyone gets winded at first. You'll get stronger. Stronger. She thought they could physically adapt to conditions that were biologically impossible for their species. The breaking point came when they reached what humans called the scenic overlook. Zexthera looked out and saw something that made her blood freeze. Human climbers, hundreds of meters up vertical rock faces, with minimal equipment, moving hand over hand up surfaces that would require anti-gravity technology for most species to climb. Rock climbing is really popular here, Reeves said casually. Great exercise. My daughter's part of the climbing club. Daughter, a human child, climbed these death traps voluntarily. Look, there's today's advanced class. Reeves pointed up the mountain where tiny figures moved along what looked like a sheer cliff. They're going for the 6,000-meter peak today. 6,000 meters. An altitude where most Alliance species would die even in full life support. How do they breathe up there? Zexthera whispered. They don't, really. Not well, anyway. That's part of the challenge. You learn to function with less oxygen. Learn to function with insufficient oxygen for fun. As they watched, one of the human climbers fell. Zexthera gasped, expecting to witness a death, but the human caught himself with a rope system and continued climbing like nothing happened. Happens all the time, Reeves noted. That's why we use safety equipment, for an activity that was fundamentally unsafe for any sane species. That evening, as human soldiers sat around fires in sub-zero temperatures, cooking food over open flames and drinking hot liquids, Zexthera made her most disturbing discovery yet. Humans didn't just train on death worlds. They sought out new ways to make their safe worlds more dangerous. They climbed mountains for no reason except to climb them. They jumped out of aircraft, with fabric parachutes for entertainment. They ran. Part 1. The recruitment captain. Zexthera's forearms trembled as she read the report for the 5th time. The glowing screen in front of her showed data that made no sense. According to the files, humans used planets as training grounds, planets that killed aliens in minutes. This cannot be right, she muttered, her purple skin turning darker with worry. Her assistant, a small bug-like creature named Click-27, moved closer on 6 legs. Captain, the data has been checked 3 times. The human species lists 47 worlds as military training sites. Our scientists marked those same worlds as death worlds. Sahara stood up from her chair. At 8 feet tall, she towered over most species in the Galactic Alliance. But these humans worried her more than the war itself. The war. For 2 years, the Devourers had pushed through Alliance space like hungry beasts. These silicon-based creatures ate metal, dissolved energy shields, and turned Alliance weapons into food. Nothing worked against them. Millions had died. Then Earth sent a message. They offered 50,000 human soldiers. The Alliance Council laughed. Humans were a young species, barely advanced enough for space travel. What could they do that the mighty Alliance could not? But the Alliance was desperate. They said yes. Now Sahara had to train with these humans. The problem? Humans wanted Alliance soldiers to train on human worlds first. They called it basic preparation. The Alliance agreed because they had no choice. The first shock came at the meeting point. Alliance ships arrived surrounded by massive protective bubbles. Inside these bubbles, the air was perfect, the temperature was controlled, and radiation shields kept everyone safe. Then the human ship appeared. It was small, plain, no protective bubble at all. How did they survive in open space without proper protection? The human ship docked. The airlock opened. Out walked creatures in simple suits that looked like thick clothing with glass helmets. No glowing energy fields. No floating life support systems. Just basic suits. Are they wearing toys? Click-27 whispered. Captain Rex Martinez stepped forward. He was average height for a human, which meant he was shorter than most Alliance species. His brown skin showed through the clear helmet. He smiled, showing his teeth. That smile made Sahara nervous. In most species, showing teeth meant danger. Captain, Sahara, I presume? Martinez spoke through his basic radio. Welcome aboard. Ready for some training? Sahara looked at her own equipment. She wore a full environmental suit worth more than a small starship. Her life support system had backup systems for the backup systems. Her team of 100 Alliance soldiers wore similar gear. Captain Martinez, we need to discuss the training locations. Our scientists say these worlds will kill our troops. Martinez laughed. Kill? Oh, you mean the environmental ratings? Yeah, we saw those. Your people really like their safety margins, don't they? He pulled out a simple tablet. Look, we picked the easiest spots for you. Australia in summer, Sahara in spring, the Pacific Ocean, and some mountains. Basic stuff. Sahara checked her own readings. Australia showed radiation levels that would melt Alliance armor. The Sahara registered temperatures hot enough to cook most species. The Pacific Ocean had pressure readings that would crush smaller aliens. The mountains had air so thin that most Alliance troops would suffocate.